First banana peels, now frozen potatoes. Gents, give us a break. Bad brulee and listener feedback. All this and more on today's Brilliant Observations.
I love it, love it, love it. I'm a little bit frightened about your intro. Are we going to have things inserted into areas again? What's happening?
You haven't heard?
No, I don't hear anything. What did I miss now?
Doctors warn gentlemen against using frozen potatoes.
To do what? Make a hash brown?
To cure hemorrhoids. They're so to the point where a doctor had to say, there is no medical evidence that putting frozen potatoes inside the anus will help cure hemorrhoids. So I would caution users.
What the fuck?
Diners?
Fuck, Dick. This is the stupidest, falsest thing. If anyone is so inclined to tuck a little sweetness up there, boop, 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 why not just buy the hemorrhoider? Hemorrhoid cream exists. If I would think that the whole point of not using the hemorrhoid cream is because you don't want to be sticking things in your anus. But if you're like, no, that part's fine. I just like the hemorrhoid cream.
I kind of dig
I
the
prefer
insertion
organic.
part.
I mean, it's just the stupidest thing in the world.
So what's the objection to the cream? Like the greasy feeling afterwards?
Are they
Try being a woman.
hippies? I don't know. Who could? Are they cheap? Potatoes aren't cheap, gang. That's not a good use of food. You're not getting any nutrients.
That is not a good use of food. Do you remember when we had to stop using macaroni to make necklaces because there are food insecure? Oh, yeah. Because there are in crafts. You know how you use
No, I'm just letting it roll out because I've not heard this one. Lay it on me, public school system.
Cheery. Oh, that's right. You're private. You can use whatever you
want.
Want.
We take indigenous peoples into the back and steal from them and make necklaces and sell them back to them. That's terrible, and it's a bad joke. But it seems like something that an independent school would do.
But it seems like a private school would absolutely
we would prop up that community and give them bank loans. But anyway, tell me about the macaroni.
You might. But I do feel like, all right, so in public schools, they stopped using macaroni, elbows, and they stopped using rice in shakers. They sent kids outside to pick up
trash,
Yeah, to put inside the paper plate that you staple to break. No, but like little acorns and little things you find. They foraged for, I guess, shaker material because food. They just did a lesson on food insecure families. They had a whole donation thing, and you brought in elbow macaroni and rice and beans, and all of these things are things you would put inside or glued upon. Like we had picture frames that they made with macaroni, and they spray painted the macaroni. And then we had necklaces that they made out of food, be it Fruit Loops or Cheerios or whatever it was, or lasting. It was usually pasta, like tubes.
Sure.
Can't do that anymore.
I'm super down with it. I love it. This is fantastic.
It's improper use.
I wholly endorse it. It is wonderful from beginning to middle to end. And I also simultaneously and in a conflicted way find it hilarious that this is at all the issue. You're right. You're 1,000% right. I fully endorse it. I think it's brilliant. Why did it take us so long? And seriously,
is it because at your last gala, blood diamonds were one of the things you bid on?
Stop it. No, stop it. No, I gotta say,
that was a really cute puppy, though. By the way, from the gala,
I'm telling you, that Donna got, and I still have not posted the octopus centerpiece thing but I have it. I haven't done a lot of things in terms of posting. No, but the last thing, just the thing about the food insecurity, and I really want to get back to the anal potatoes. The thing that concerns me is
if I had a nickel for every time I heard that phrase.
How could we not be talking about anal potatoes? Today on What's Cooking? Anal potatoes.
That's 15 cents right there.
Talk about a hot pot. Okay, so.
Hot pocket. It's a hot pocket.
Hash browns. No, gross.
Ew. Ew. Hey, Amy, what's cooking?
Stop. I don't worry, but since it's out of my mouth, I worry about the way of Gingerbread Nation. This is going to make a lot of trouble for us December friends who like to waste our food on, seasonal decor. Make an entire taffy hardened I'm making the shape of it, and it's called a candy cane, right? I don't even like candy canes, but that's just the only reason that you make those fucking things is to break them and throw them at people. You're not eating them. But I guess it's very different that's a luxury. That's a treat. So waste that shit any way you want. To take a fucking rice that somebody stood in the water to, come on now. That's a little bit. That's
farm.
That's fucking rude. That's fucking
barefoot.
Rude. Let's make steak plates. You will take the steak and throw it away. Happy crafting, kids. I mean, I get that it's not. That's kind of dicky.
I mean, your kids are dealing with the skin of people. Like you're dealing with real organs, not just kidney beans. That brought up a question in my head. Nobody eats candy canes?
No.
Is that true? Juicy candy canes?
No, they don't. And please don't start with me, or we're going to have to end our friendship. If you're going to tell me, wait for it, because I need to clarify something quickly. And I urge you to heavily consider your response prior to having it come out of your mouth, because this is in all seriousness.
Might be the end of our show, dear listener.
Candy canes are tolerable. I was going to say acceptable. That's too far. They're tolerable. What is unacceptable, wholly, are flavored.
Oh no, that's
candy
disgusting.
Canes.
That's
okay.
Disgusting.
Before
that's
we go
disgusting.
down, chocolate flavored, not chocolate. So brown with green stripes and
chocolate mint.
It's like It's just such an abomination before God, and it is quite literally, because candy canes. If you don't know this, I'll let you know. No, the candy canes are supposed to. They're supposed to be the shepherd's crook. Right? So this is to remind us, it's supposed to remind us of the shepherd, Jesus, the sheep, the whole deal. This is the shepherd's. Of course it is. That's what we always think about at Christmas when we're crunching that minty shit.
But that red stripe on it, isn't that the stream of blood that was?
Probably.
Yeah.
We're big on the blood, baby. I was
guess. Horrified.
I would super guess.
I'd rather change my water into wine. I just pictured Mark Strano doing the dance from Jesus Christ Superstar. Change my water.
A show which I've never to this day seen. Isn't that crazy?
That will be the end of our show.
I know.
So wait, I had a conversation with somebody recently that said, what is the proper way to eat a candy cane? And your answer
not
is
at
not
all.
to.
Yes, that's the prop. Step one, discard. That's the
no. Your step one is break and chuck.
Throw it away. Get
Add
rid
other
of
people.
Yes, you can. I don't mind them if you crush them into particulate matter for some other dish. If you're going to make,
to put on top of a cookie.
If you're going to make a bark, if you're going to make a buttercream that has a kind of a crunchy toppily sprinkle, if you're going to put it on top of your macaron, these are fun. That's nice. That'll work. But what are you doing? Stop it. That shit is like one step removed from the flavor at the dentist office. It's not a food product. It's certainly not a treat.
The crook is like a handle.
God, we're in the middle of this. I have to deal with this now. It's not even December. All right, continue.
The crook, the shepherd's hooky thing.
Yes.
Yeah, is the handle, and you eat it from the bottom until you make it into a
shiv. I'm certain.
A shiv.
Yeah, that's another acceptable use, though, is to suck that shit into a shiv and then stab somebody.
Or then you bite it and then you shiv it again. But when you get to the crook, when you get to the hook at the bottom, which has been your handle for the last 80 minutes of trying to eat this candy cane, do you put that whole hook in your mouth, or what do you do? According to you,
what are you doing with your life?
I don't know.
What are you doing with your life?
I will back you on that flavored one. I don't mind the mint chocolate one, but the fruit flavored.
This would be like me.
Candy canes is sacrilege. It's horror. Okay. Would this be like you telling me what flavors are okay or not okay inside a Hummintashen?
No, it's worse. This would be like, and you're gonna have to back me. I don't have enough Jew culinary expertise. But this would be
chock full.
This would be akin to me buying the non-egg matzah and eating it for funsies in October. I love matzah, so I just have it, and we're going to have it with no salt.
I get it. I get it.
Just eating it like it's a food, which it's not.
Like it's a food.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, non-egg matzah. For no reason, with no salt and no schmear. Which for anyone who has not had matzah of any stripe, let alone the non-egg matzah, it's akin to really a kind of sort of sad tree bark without any texture. It's just not
Stuart told
good.
me I changed his life 2 years ago when I said, I'll get the matzah this year. You and your family, you buy this enormous 5 boxes because it's cheaper and it's bulk of sandpaper, and we all like suffer through it because that's what Jews do. They suffer. It's an entire religion about suffering, sometimes overcoming, sometimes suffering some more. But I'm going to buy the egg matzah. So he puts a schmear on top of the egg matzah, and he said,
"This is a product. I could eat this.
This is fucking delicious.
Thank you.
This is year-round delicious."
Thank
and
you.
I said, "Yeah, why you tortured yourself?" He's like, "It's just what's always been done."
No, it's a sad state of affairs.
And that phrase, "what's always been done," really like sticks in my head. Like, yo, that's the reason to change shit immediately because it's always been done. Not to, and I'm not saying I've never put frozen potatoes in my ass before and it's never been done, so let's try it. Don't fucking do that. It's horrible.
Who, why, who, where, who, what? There's nothing.
Who?
I go, come on now. I don't even think it's legit. This is like an Orida conspiracy.
I think you should Google it.
Somebody's trying to sell some potatoes, and they said, you know what? If we do something outrageous, people will talk about our sad peeled, potato frozen pellets that no one is buying because it's a potato. Why do you need a frozen something that you can get yourself fresh? What? I don't even. This is a lot of sorry. So much trauma in this it's called a podcast already.
As somebody who has delivered a few babies.
Sure. Yeah, I'm there.
You should know that maybe sitting on top of a frozen potato after that experience is not a horrible.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
But
you didn't take the ice and shove it up your tuchus.
No, I would never shove.
Right.
Output only, maybe.
This is an internal situation.
No, it's output only. And if you choose input, please choose appropriate items and not food, because there are people who are food insecure and who don't want that potato anymore.
All right, but let's break it down. There's got to be some logic to this. Is it because they believe, these idiots, is it because they believe that a frozen potato small enough would remain icy longer than ice and could be up in there, and maybe from the inside is going to shrink the bloated varicose vein that is an internal hemorrhoid? Is there a legitimate medical presumption happening with these,
So you're saying they think potato because of starch reasons? You're
no,
saying
I'm
there's
thinking
something
because
in the potato?
I'm thinking if you put ice, if you think that a hemorrhoid is a swollen vein and that ice will either reduce the swelling enough to relieve the pain or possibly to resolve the situation. So you would put a piece of ice on your swollen ass vein. But if the swelling is on the inside, if you put ice up in there, I would think you're just going to be wetting yourself through your hiney holy. So if you put a cold potato in there, it'll retain it's rigid and it'll retain the icy effect. Why am I trying to help them?
These are the same people who stuck their dick in a banana peel.
I'm done.
I don't know.
I'm super done.
Don't know.
Get out of the supermarket. Go to Adam and Eve. Go to Adam and Eve, you cheap fuck.
Not a sponsor of ours, by the way.
Almighty. It's just not that difficult to find inanimate, non-food-based items to fuck.
As somebody who spent time with several emergency physicians, people do find and use and lose several items in their keisterish area, but I think they're all for pleasure and to at least know somebody's trying to cure. Look, if you were to Google the whole potato thing, it's not one article about it. It's like 30. So,
but I've heard duct tape on a wart of some kind. If you've got some kind of problem with your feet, you put duct tape on it and that works better. It theoretically works better. So there's a lot of these weird things that people do and you put onions in your socks. They're in the idea that they had it right years ago. Well, I don't know that we were sitting and stuffing some potatoes years ago trying to get rid of a little hiney popping.
No, I don't think that was even a wives' tale.
And if we were, have we not as a society progressed past this? You stupid dope that you can't walk down the aisle. It's called Preparation H. That stands for hemorrhoids. Stick it there and shut up. What are you doing? It's not Preparation P. It's stupid.
So as we have progressed as a society, 2 steps forward, 30 steps back, there's a new challenge.
2 steps forward, 1 finger up the anus.
1 potato up the ass. Yeah, no. There's a new challenge I saw. I don't know if it was on TikTok. It's the Skull Crusher Challenge. Have you seen this?
God, no. I went on TikTok to become your friend, and then I exited immediately. I don't have any knowledge.
Amy, I'm going to tell you right now, we're friends. You do not need to find me on TikTok. You do not need to find me on Instagram. By the way, if you are on Facebook, look up brilliantobservations.
Oh, that's good.
Groupies, because some really good shit's going down in there. There's some conversations that you might enjoy.
So nice. It's so wonderful in there. Makes me very happy.
But before we tell you about what's happening in there, I'm going to tell you about this Skull Crusher Challenge. I saw students, because it looked like a high school hallway. One person stands in the middle, a friend, and I use that term so loosely on each side of you, and each of these air quotey friends
idiots, yeah,
knocks out one of your feet
with
a swift kick.
In actual life, they're not like doing a pretend thing with your finger, like I'm crushing your skull, I'm crushing your skull, I'm crushing it, but they're not really anywhere near you. Your friends stand next to you and knock you to the ground.
Again, I want to use the audible air quote, friends stand next to you, and each one kicks a foot out from under you simultaneously so that you go from standing to zoop, cracking your head open on the gymnasium floor, the hallway floor. You fall over and crack your skull. It's called the Skull Crusher. Could you do me a favor for John Buchanan's benefit? Could you put a Tide Pod in your mouth before they knock you over and just do a full, what is wrong with these people?
There isn't enough time to list.
I do not endorse, but could have gotten behind the one where you walk into the supermarket and you eat ice cream and then you put it back into the freezer.
Is that what everybody was doing in there?
That's what they were doing. They were opening it up.
Ew.
They were eating ice cream, putting it back on. So when you went home and you bought yourself some ice cream, it was already half eaten or partially eaten. And that, I can see
tell when
humor.
You pick it up by the weight.
I can see some humor in that. There's no fucking humor in a TBI. There just is no humor.
There's no humor in any of it. Let's just get back to the ice cream just for a second, because you're just fucking somebody else with that. I mean, back in the 7-Eleven purchasing days, you get yourself a big gulp cup, and that's one of those massive, like 2-liter size cups for the fountain drink. Yeah.
I have to pee just thinking about it.
That's when you walk over to the freezer section. You get a pint of Ben & Jerry's. You drop it in the big gulp cup. Then you fill the big gulp cup with slushie. Then you pay for a slushie and you leave. And now you got a slushie plus some Ben & Jerry's when you get home. You're not fucking anybody except the 7-Eleven.
You just blew my mind.
Why do you not do this all the time?
I've never done that.
I mean, I'm not a thief, but if I was,
this is exactly how you would do it.
I'm saying I have heard of this being happening sometime, someplace. Put your mouth closed. Everybody fucking does this. Come on. But you can tell. You can tell. Of course, when you pick up an ice cream thing, you can tell if it, from your own freezer, you can tell if it's like somebody's been in there messing with your ice cream because it's not heavy. I don't know. Maybe they just take a few spoonfuls. Like they're Insta people, so they're not actually consuming. You're still back on the 7-Eleven ice cream.
I am.
Oh, baby. I mean, it's a little sticky on the outside. You're going to have to wash it, but that's okay. It's still $5 worth of ice cream.
Haagen-Dazs has that plastic cover on top. So
yeah, sure. Well, now they do. Back in our day, there wasn't even a Haagen. There was a Haagen. There wasn't Haagen and Dazs. There was just Haagen and one flavor. It was vanilla.
We liked it.
And we liked it. And we walked both ways.
And we shoved it in our big gulp when nobody was looking.
And it never went up my anus. You stupid.
I can't believe that. Although I did go into Wawa the other day because I bought something. Oh, I know. When I go to the theater, and be it movies or we saw Hello. I remember I saw Hello Dolly.
How could we forget the Hello Dollies?
Yes. Dear listener, if you didn't listen full through the last episode, go to the very, very end because I'm told there's a real treat there waiting for you.
Johnny did it to me. We had the internet go out, and when Melissa was missing, I was waiting to see if she would return, and I filled in the space, and then my editor, who I love and hate and love, took it and stuck it. Surprise at the end. You got to watch because whatever we say, he gets it. You don't get it all, but he does.
So I stopped in to get candy bars because I don't think $12 is the right price for even a shareable pack of peanut M&Ms. That's just ridiculous. So I get candy bars, put them in my pocketbook, pocketbook. I just became my nana.
That's okay. It's okay. When you're smuggling food in someplace, you're allowed to have a pocket book.
On my way out, I took a 16-ounce cup from the dispenser and I filled it with just ice because they've got the good ice at Wawa. They've got the tiny little pellet, awesome ice. And then I just kept walking.
Right.
Well, I didn't pay for the cup. I didn't pay for the ice.
I'm okay. Well, I just chronicled some dastardly deeds, but I'm okay. I'm okay with that. Everybody's yes, we're going to be fine.
I felt guilty about it, but now I feel like a fucking
Why? Did they say something? Do you walk over to the thing and say, "I want to explain to you that I'm not blah blah blah"?
No.
And then 4 hours later, you've given them 30 cents. Fuck you, Wawa. You're doing just fine on the backs of the rest of us. We're okay. The issue here is you didn't take soda. You didn't take a product, right? They spent the money to make the ice. They spent the money to brand the cup, to print the cup, to put the cup. You know what else they did? They threw out about 8 cups and about 16 sandwiches in the back that went bad before they served them in the deli area. There's a lot of waste in their business. You made a legitimate
purchase. Maybe they could use that wasted food for making noisemakers in preschools and
Hi kids, we're going to use some Wawa sandwich meats.
Meats. Oh, speaking of meats, I was at the Amish market yesterday and I bought both corned beef and pastrami because I think they're both delicious. I just don't know which one I like better.
No, you like both. You put both on the same sandwich and you go straight to heaven.
I want to have a taste test today.
No,
I'm going to do a taste test right after we record. I'm racing downstairs.
I think one technically, some people are wrong and they make one a Reuben and they make the other a Rachel. Technically, I think a Rachel is not. It has. Sometimes I think it's with turkey. Sometimes I think it has no sauerkraut. When you mess with a Reuben, you call it a Rachel, but there is some specific categorization and definition of what a Rachel is.
I thought one has more fat in it. Like one is a more marbled fat.
You're talking about the difference between the two meats? I was talking about the two sandwiches. The difference between the two meats is they're completely different meats. One is corned beef and the other is pastrami. So that's like saying chicken and turkey. One is they're like totally different. Corned beef is I think technically it's a brisket that you have corned by brining effectively. You've somehow processed it in salt. I don't think it's technically a brine, but I think corning is some sort of a different categorization. Maybe it's a dry brine or something like this. So it's like a deep salt rub, something along these lines. And pastrami, there's a different cut altogether. And I'm embarrassing myself, but I want to feel like pastrami's got to be beef because the Jews eat it. But I felt like pastrami was like pork.
Nope, can't be.
Then it's just a different cut of beef. It's a different cut of beef and a different treatment of the beef because they're even different colors. Are you looking? You're looking to learn. So
I'm going to send you a picture right now that says from the Amish market that says corned beef, not corned beef.
Why are you buying it? Why are you buying it? Why did you not burn that place to the ground? Do they also have iced tea? ICE? I want to kick these people in the fucking head. I have a hard enough time getting my head around unsweet tea. Because we can't be bothered to call it unsweetened or something entirely else because you're too fucking lazy to get to the end of the word. But I also don't like light, LITE.
Or anything.
Like why would anybody ever? It's okay. I'm sorry. The grammardragon came up from my
like grammardragon. She's my buddy. Grammardragon.
She emerged from her cave with some anal potatoes.
So stop putting shit in your ass. Stop knocking your friends over. Unless you're idiots. Unless your true goal is really Darwinism's survival of the least stupid. I mean, these things, it's so dumb. So dumb. You're so dumb. Stop it. If you are listening, I'm ashamed of you. And I want you not to listen as soon as I finish this next sentence. Stop sticking your dick in things. Stop sticking potatoes up your ass and stop hurting your friends for the sake of humor. Am I telling you that it's not okay to laugh at someone who falls? Yes, laugh at someone who falls, but do not
knock them down. And the children, we teach them that food is for eating, kids, not for craft time, not for sexy time. Food is for food.
Not for sexy time. Or it is also, unless your doctor tells you this is a treatment for your ailment, knock it off. And it is not okay.
I could kind of interject. I think you need a new doctor. if that's the kind of medical advice that you're getting, I would question if this isn't someone who goes by like Dr. Jan.
Dre.
Yes. Aw. That's a shame.
Sorry, it's not okay.
Great soundtrack. Okay. A little questionable medical advice.
Yeah, no, it's not to be done. The answer is no. I did tease the fact that in Brillob's pod, there's been action. We have had action. And it's the good kind of action that doesn't require any frozen vegetables or fruits of any sort.
God, you guys, it's so good.
Although, I'm going to tell you one listener that I want to give hey, thumbs up to, and Amy's going to give you another. So our shout-outs this week do have to do with frozen items. Mine is to Gina. Gina, thank you for writing in and telling us that Amy also grew up on what was called frozen sushi, which was a fish stick right out of the freezer.
Telling all my secrets.
Fish stick.
All my secrets from the neighborhood.
As a snack or dinner, I'm not sure, right out of the freezer. So as I tell you the story of how I was raised on a thawed fish stick with a stripe of tomato sauce right from the no frills can, white can, red and blue stripe on it, no frills, right up the center of it. That's all you got. Then I realized Amy didn't comment on that. Maybe she wasn't on pod at the time, but she should have said, I have had frozen sushi.
I don't remember anything. that I've had.
Liar.
No, because I saw that and I was like, oh, that's funny. I think that's right. I think I remember that. And blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
So Gina, tell us everything.
Or
we want to hear. We want to,
or maybe don't. That's another
way.
She'll
still bake you cookies.
She'll still bake you cookies.
And another listener who once again has blown us away with being great. And we don't say that a lot about people.
That's
in
absolutely.
General.
Well, I'm just sort of continually amazed that anybody would feel compelled to ticky-tack their fingers on the keyboard on the phone and speak into the microphone, anything to communicate back with us. And even as I say it, I don't know why. Because some of you know that I started as a listener to this fair podcast from day one, loved it, and knowing some of the folks involved and transitions happened, and lo and behold, here we are. Every single time that I listened, I would be screaming out in my car. I would be writing notes to myself to, seeing any way that I could get that communication flowing back, because I'm a part of the conversation that's happening on this podcast, and we want you to feel that way too. So when people do it, I shouldn't be surprised, because that's exactly what we were doing. So who did it this time was dearest Cameron. Oh my God, dearest Cameron, who has been spectacular and a friend of the podcast, as we like to say, from the way backs, and took the time to actually record a little video, was so moved by the show and the content to be able to leave a little message, not just for us, but for all to see. So we invite you to go to our poorly named group, Brill Obs Pod Groupies, and check it out. And if you can't find it, just type in Listen Brilliant, and all that shit will come up eventually in the search, and you'll find it somehow. But it's the group, the private group, and it is in there. And oh my God, you guys played it 4 times, and I bawled the whole time, and it was wonderful. And I'm going to play it again, because I like bawling, and I mean crying. So don't get gross potatoes. I just meant it was wonderful and lovely, and everything so charming. And you guys keep it coming. It really
what I loved
gives
most
us
about
hope.
What I loved most about Cam's comment was that he said that he feels like he's just dialing in with a couple of his friends, and that is exactly our point. Amy and I are thick as thieves, and we live far away, and when we catch up and hear shit like frozen potatoes or Tide Pod, whatever it is, we want to share it with each other and you, and just super, super grateful that you get it, that even more so that you like it, and the most so that you shared, because we are now tied to you and want to know what's going on with you. So, dear listener, dare I say, reach out. We want to hear from you. Learn from Cam and get in touch with us. We love, love, love it. And you too can get your shout out.
That's it. Well, that's exactly right. And completely by accident and on the rarest of occasions, we'll talk about something real on this thing of serious import. And so to be able to have an expert chime in and say, that was important. I'm glad you said it. And let me fill in the lines since you dopes only know so much. I love that. Help us.
We're the dopes in that sentence. And by the way, it was the child beating that you wrote in
and
about.
We came down on the right side of it, which is to not
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. Thank God. Yeah. Spanking is fine for you and a consenting partner and not to a child.
No, yes,
So if you haven't heard that one, feel free to go back an episode and check it out, dope.
And thank you.
And thank you. I'm sorry. Did I miss that part?
Oh, stop.
Amy.
Missy.
I'm going out to dinner tonight with good friends, and the check is going to come.
I hate you. I love that you go out to dinner with good friends. The check is going to come? Why? Are you taking them out to eat?
No. Well, I don't think so. But the check is going to come, and my big fear is that I'm going to grab it and say, let me pick up the check. Especially if it's at a super expensive place.
Well, I had that happen to me, and it was hilarious. Went out celebrating. We were celebrating something, I don't remember what, and we were meeting friends who were celebrating, I think, a birthday, something. Met them out. They were out, I thought, 15, 20 minutes before us. I didn't feel, or maybe an hour. Just wasn't a lot. Met them out. They were drinking. We joined. We ordered some food. We were drinking. An hour or two goes by, and I'm like, it's birthday. It's happy times. We're doing it.
Oh, no.
The guy came by. Well,
Bar tab. Oh, no.
No, I need your opinion on this one.
Go ahead.
The waiter said, "Are you sure?" I said to the waiter, so just put it on one, and I handed him my card because I'm never quick enough. And they're always the friends who are so quick, and they take us everywhere, and they do all this kind of stuff. And he made these big eyes, and he looked at me, and he said, "You don't want it." And I said, "Yes, I do. It's a birthday." And I handed the card, and he looked at me, and then he looked at our friends like,
waiting for them to step up and say, I've been here all day.
Do you want me to fuck this girl over? He looked, and they're kind of regulars in this place. So, I mean, it was kind of a different waiter, guest relationship. But he looked up and he was like, okay. And then immediately the people who were we got into the fight, and they're like, no, you can't, and this, and no. And they grabbed it and blah, blah, blah. Oh, let's divide it this way. And it worked out, and I didn't get screwed. But at the same time, I was kind of like, you don't know me. Was it good? And it come to find out, they had been drinking like $200 bourbon shots. No, it was a big birthday. They were celebrating, so they didn't want to bone. It was like a $700 bill for a couple of hours, and I had ordered like apps.
Sounds about right.
And at the end of the day, I would have been fine. I would have been stunned, but I would have been fine paying it because I owe them all that and a million times more. Still, was it the waiter's job? To fucking, because I could have been a she daddy bigwig coming in there.
You don't know me.
You don't know me. And he kind of knows them, but does he really? I don't know. The whole thing felt like, well, fuck. I tried to do the surprise, and I guess the surprise would have been, surprise, Amy's bankrupt.
So I hear you're getting upset because it feels like the waiter stepped outside of his appropriate.
I don't know how to feel.
But what he did was a huge favor for you because had he not done that and he not made eye contact with his other patrons,
a big hole.
And you would have been like, rumor has it you've got a kid going to college next year.
Oh my God.
But let me close this one out first. Not if you keep picking up the check.
No.
Not if you keep doing
that.
No. And two to follow.
No. Well, these are close enough friends that it wouldn't have been a problem. It would have been a big enough Watusi of a bill that it wouldn't have been a problem. But just to take a step back from the situation, it all felt so fucking weird. And it still made me think, should I just shut up and be so grateful? My friends would have never let this happen. I could have never, ever possibly gotten into the situation. And they immediately, like I was trying to do the sly thing. I was trying to get his attention and pay it so they didn't even know. It was not the kind of thing where everybody had the little T-Rex arms like, who's going to pay my bill? It was not that.
I'm not going to reach
exact
for it.
opposite. It was the exact opposite. So in any event, I don't know. It just felt kind of, I don't know. Thoughts?
$700 shots. I'm grateful to the waiter for doing that. I'm grateful that he snapped you out of your altruistic anything. Get her a Hallmark card. Make her some brittle. You make Slam and Brittle.
My friend was drinking a bourbon. It's called Angel's Envy. So it's nice bourbon. But when you buy it in a restaurant, it's expensive bourbon. So he was having just drinks of it. And my husband, when he joined, I think he started having Buffalo Trace, which is also great and expensive, but not quite as expensive in the thing. And I happened to notice earlier in the night when the drinks arrived, after many rounds of drinks, they each took a sip. And my friend goes, I think I got yours.
Oh, no, because it's not. Doesn't taste like
Brian's
gold.
like, did you? And he took a sip and he's like, I can't tell. And the friend was like, I can. And he switched the glasses. So I should have known. I should have known that's a $200 drink. Fucking give me the right drink.
I don't want to make friends with people who drink like that. I can't.
It was a special night. No, it was a very it was a big birthday. It was the whole thing. So that's anyway. But I had another restaurant tale happen to me. Went out with a whole big group of moms of seniors. You mentioned that I have a kid going off to college. And
who, by the way, can we give him props because he got into his first choice?
He did.
Amazing.
He got in. So he sent out 6 applications and he technically got 6 yeses. That's not accurate, but on a technicality, I'm claiming it because he got 3 yeses. As of yesterday, he got his 4th Please Held Daddy Yes into his #1 dream program, which is incredibly exclusive. We kind of still don't believe it. And then the other 2 are waitlist, which is, I say, that's a yes in line. So that's a fucking yes because it's not a no.
You're in queue, right?
It's not a no. It's not a deferred. It's a yes. And it's came, from places who are notorious for giving way too many yeses and then don't have housing. So I feel like that's their MO. I don't care about them. He's going where he wants to go. And I cannot, you guys,
it's
I can't
close
even.
Enough. It's close enough to home where you can.
This is like saying this child is, I don't care about the prom and neither does he. He doesn't care in the slightest, but just for an analogy, this is like saying you're going to the prom, right? We all know you're going to the prom, but you really want to go with the prom queen and you've asked and we're just waiting. And guess what? She said yes. And P.S. she's rich and showing up in a car and, and she's bringing a gift for you. It's just I checked, I was filling out. He heard this last night at 5:18 p.m.
Oh, they really make you wait. Wow.
I have all, and the deadline that we were given, the admissions announcement told us that we would hear by late February. I think that counts. That's late February.
Oh my God, that's torture.
So the quick part of the story is I've already said, yes, say yes immediately. Say it before they forget. Say it. So we did that. We've paid the deposit, applied for housing, like all of it, applying for scholarships now it's like all this, the floodgates, everything's happening. And it's so hilarious. I checked the prices. It's an in-state school for where we are. So we pay in-state rates. And I knew it was going to be affordable. That was part of the, oh my gosh. And it's nationally ranked and it's really exclusive and it's really affordable. And I know that it costs less than our current tuition. I know that. I didn't know this part.
I told that to my husband. Oh, no. What?
I didn't know this part. Well, I figured that I thought I knew what the school costs. But I actually looked today because I was in there filling out all the crap that the parents have to fill out. So they break it down in terms of what the school actually costs versus what books are projected to cost and like food and the idiot tax and all the other fucking things. So when you add all that extra shit up, all of the stuff, including housing and food for a year at a university that is listed as like top 10 public. Oh my God. It's still less than our fucking tuition.
Oh my God. I told him, like, if he's going in-state.
It's still less.
I'm like, he's going in-state, which is a gift because they pay lower tuition.
The actual cost of the education, if you get nothing else, is $9,200 a year. That's it.
That's the books at Penn State.
That's not even the books at Penn State. That's the admission fee to get into the bookstore at Penn State. Let's be honest.
That's so crazy. Good for him. And it's an elitist program.
They accepted. There's a population of 40,000 students at the university, and in his program, in his major, they have accepted 36 kids.
No, give us from the beginning the numbers. How many applied? How many interviewed?
I have to check it because he received an interview, and at the interview they looked at us and gave us all this information, and your brain is still kind of swimming, and he's got to get up and go interview with people, so you can only absorb so much. I remember, could be wrong, I remember them saying there were approximately 4,000 applications to this department. So in a school of 40,000 people, we are in the smallest school at the university, and this department, this college, is the smallest college in the smallest school, and we still had 4,000 applications, of which we have selected you 300 who are sitting here for the interview. And among you, we will choose approximately 30. Last year we had 36. So I don't know how many they picked.
That's
this
unbelievable.
Year.
Good for him. I'm so wildly proud of him.
It's stunning, and we're thrilled and cannot. And he's been accepted at other places that have great credentials, and they would have cost us $70,000 a year.
Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Hey, do you know, I don't mean to spin your head on a swivel.
Spin it. I won't be thinking about anything else from now until maybe the day I die. So spin any way you want.
I'm so wildly proud of him. And more so, I'm thrilled that he's excited.
It doesn't. That's the thing. He could have accepted into the trade program at Ben & Jerry's. It has nothing to do with that, and everything to do
if that
with
were only a program,
and or Lake Champlain Chocolate Co. If anything, it is. This, of all of my kids, I would never have pointed to him and say, he's going to know exactly what he wants. Please. And he's going to work for it. No, he knew exactly what he wanted. He worked for it. He's been building a portfolio for a year and a half. He has specifically targeted this.
Him.
So to have done all of that shit, to Babe Ruth this shit, I'm going there. Boop, boop. And then
can I rub my kid up against him a little bit and see if some of it rubs off?
And he could change tomorrow. He could get in there and say, I've decided that I want to be something else. I'm like, go for it, pal. I'm thrilled that you said what you wanted. You worked for what you wanted. And you got what you wanted. I don't care what it is that you want. Go and be.
I want to rub my son against him just a little to rub off because my son got propositioned. Yeah, it's weird. So I know we come from privilege. Not a second goes by that we aren't grateful for what we have and what we're able to give our kids.
Of course.
I got a text while he was at school that said, Mom, can I drive, fill in child's name who I do not know, to his girlfriend's house at 5:30 tonight? Immediately, my answer is no.
Yeah.
Because A, I don't know this kid, and he just asked you for a ride because he knew you had a car? You have a car to drive to work. You have a car to drive next year when school lets you. You'll have a car to drive to school. Makes our lives a little easier. When I finished reading the text, well, I saw at the bottom it said he wants to pay me $60.
Oh, so I can take him to the drug deal. Pass.
So I go to his girlfriend's house, and then I said no again. Please, Mom, it's $60. I could really use the money. Okay, you're 16 and a half, but don't tell me you could use the money. Okay, all right.
If you could really use the money, I invite you to open any drawer in your fucking room where there's probably $600 sitting that you've forgotten about.
Your tips? I mean, yeah. So turns out this kid who knows him peripherally through friends he didn't even have his cell number. He had to ask to get his cell number. Wanted him to drive him at 5:30 to 4 towns over.
Oh.
More so like 45 minutes away to his girlfriend's house to then bring him home between 9:30 and 10 o'clock at night.
Okay. No, I am not your Yuba.
Or pimp.
Right. Well, honestly, it sounds less shady. It sounds less shady and more uniquely teen stupid. So I love all those details. Because in the beginning, I'm like, that shit's a drug deal. That's some drug dealing. No. This is just...
He doesn't even know him well.
He knows he's got a car, and the other one knows he's got a dick, and he's got somewhere to put it. If I could just get there. That's it.
But so I said, okay, at like 9 o'clock, you got to charge your cell phone at home in the charging bank. And at 9:30, 10 o'clock,
that was my first
thought,
Mom. That's the restriction I was hoping you'd release me from so I could drive 4 towns away.
Are you out of your mind? 40 minutes from home. You want to? So what are you going to do for those?
Ease pussy wagon. Let me drive you multi-state. Now serving premise.
Does your husband do car wraps? Because that would be great if he could put that on my kid's car. She's a real pussy wagon, grease lightning.
It's the Brillo Pudmobile. Let's go.
Where do they get the nerve to even ask for a ride to get ass? Is really what it sounds like.
Oh, they get the nerve from the hormonies. There's some teenagers. They'll ask for anything. They will ask for teenagers can be so incredibly self-servingly rude and have no concept, or even if they have a concept, no care in the fucking world. They self-advocate like they're royals. They don't give a shit. Because what's the worst I'm going to get? I'm already at no 5 o'clock pussy. Least I can do is see if this mother's going to let me go. Right? Brother's got to get his itch on. Let's go.
And no concern to what this complete almost stranger is going to do for 4.5 hours?
She must be some kind of wonderful companion because he's willing to dole out 60 large in his town, in his world.
I said Uber's probably cheaper than that. Why is he asking you?
It's not? No, not for an hour. It would probably be, honestly, it'd be more than 60 one way if they would do it. That's the other thing. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. It's like taking a cab from the city to the Bronx. They're not going to fucking drive you. Good luck. That's what a subway's for. Can't do it.
I don't think there's public transportation marketed for ass getting.
Pussy counting. Yes.
For ass getting. But he was mad at me that I wouldn't let him drive.
He's stupid. Tell him he's
And then
dumb.
later, I was like, dude, come on. First of all, who is this kid? He's like, I don't know. He's friends with friends of mine. I don't even know how he got my number. I'm like, all right.
He got your number because you've got a dangling set of keys. You're not the only one he's asked. I got news for you.
I wonder who took him. I wonder who bit on that $60 fee. I'm like, tell him to make it $200 and then we'll negotiate. No, you are not driving.
Tell him to make it girlfriend. 2 dates and I'll go out there. Okay, you mind if I drive with your dates?
Mind if we dance with your dates? And how did this genius get a girlfriend? Like, what are you talking about?
Good Lord. I thought when you said propositioned, I wasn't really sure what was happening. We've had a little surprise guest. I didn't even know. Well, it's been 1 week. I want to tread lightly here. So, because we're having a lot of interest and engagement with Petey with child number 2. He has a small following of female friends who like to pick him up and drive him around town, who like to FaceTime him in the middle of the night. Come to find out from Rocco, who was telling us last night, they like to send him nudes. I'm like, what?
These are still underage girls sending him.
One girl who was evidently peripheral to the close set of girls who happen to be friends more than girlfriends.
It's always adjacent.
And here's the thing that the only reason I'm even telling it because I can't believe it and I'm kind of thrilled. So we didn't know this happened. That's the horrible part. Rocco did because Petey came to him and said, ew, and what now? Because this was not, and he said, so what the WTF and help? Now what? So he went to older brother and said, I just got some crazy nudes from a crazy, like she's crazy. I don't know how you didn't already get there when I said someone has sent me nudes, but in case you didn't, she's the kind of person that would get on and like do a text where she's like laughing hysterically and then minutes later send one where she's crying and then now she's sending one with nude. That's like, I'm not your, let me show you where you can get some support because that's not what this is. Right. So he talked him through, here's what you're supposed to do, blah, 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 all this other kind of stuff. But good Lord. So what I like about it is, he talked to his sibling. Because in our house, the only thing you talk to siblings about is get out of my way and room and life. That's all they say to each other.
And is that cheese under your bed?
Right.
And can I have some?
That's my cheese. Yes.
Right. Wow, that's kind of shocking and amazing and shocking.
So it's happening. It's happening all over. But yeah, he was out with Unknown Gaggle of Girls Part 2 last night. So, and we're tracking him, by the GPS tracker on the phone, as he said, go where he says, and he really wanted to go because he made a whole big stink about things. I said, there's no way that you're going unless you clean your room. And that is like saying there's no way you're going unless you climb Mount Everest. Like he's just never going to do it. And of course, after I said that, he took out the vacuum. I don't know who this child is. He vacuumed his room. He bleached his bathroom himself with actual
He really
product.
wanted to go.
He really wanted. So it's like, okay, I get it. Be social. But
I love that.
Yeah.
Because they just had this this seminar here about isolation and how kids that's the new drug of choice, isolation, and the fact that he cleaned his room to leave your house. That's kind of amazing.
Rocco is a keep to yourself and then talk to you only through technology kind of a guy. And the other one is the quite opposite, which is hilarious. It's very strange.
It is. And you have a third who's a combination of both.
He's a world beater. We all sit back and go, oh, well, at least you got it going on. The rest of us are over in the corner going, damn it. My husband and myself included. So that's okay. He'll elevate us all in the Jane Austen sense. He's our hope.
Your great white hope.
That's right.
Your great
well,
white
look,
hope.
I already know that you're scheming and you're always 3 steps ahead and trying to move us on to the next one. But I want to come back to this thing we were talking about with the waiter, because I really do have a question. So I went out with this mom's group that I frequently go out with to lunch. It was a big, long table. Somebody ordered dessert. I did not. Everybody was sort of leaving. I went down to the other end of the table where the dessert was languishing, uneaten. And so I'm chatting with that group of friends because I hadn't got, it's the long table situation.
I hate the long table.
I hate the long table. So I went down there and I'm like, yabby, 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 yak, 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 yak. And I say, oh, you got the creme brulee. Look at that. And she looked and she went, it wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. I went, really?
Oh.
And she says, yeah, the whole dessert was kind of disappointing. And she went on to describe what made it disappointing. And it was like a trio of just tiny, tiny desserts on a platter sitting there. And it cost like $15. Like it was a ridiculous, we're in a very nice place. It was one of those really nice places. And I thought, well, she's like, here, you try it. And I tried it. And it was horrible. Horrible that I worried it was bad, that it had been prepared improperly. And it was like super.
It sounds like it was.
Well, here's the other issue. It was a passion fruit creme brulee.
That's your first mistake.
Thank you. What are you doing? Who? So it tasted curdled. It was weird. It was a stupid attempt. All of it. Bad. So we're in sort of not a private part of the restaurant, but the tables are so big that we're sort of over to ourselves. The waitstaff has already moved on. We're kind of in a secluded area and we're just talking at a reasonable level. Not an Amy level, a reasonable level. One of the other women at our table is sort of watching with interest and big eyes as we're having this very critical conversation. I sampled the creme brulee. I went, ugh, put the thing down. I'm like, that's bad. Like, I think that's bad. Talking about, now what do we do?
Right.
The mom, judgy mom, is looking at us and specifically me like, you are embarrassing me to no end. Like, how could you be critical of this?
Is it a look that said that, or did these words come out of her
mouth? No,
okay.
And we didn't need the words. It was pure communication, and even to the point where I was like, maybe I'm talking too loud because that's what I always think. Because I always do. I always am. So I figured that was it. So then I tried, and then the other mom who I was with, who is 8 million steps higher than me on the politeness ladder. Do you know what I mean? Nobody would ever accuse her of any misstep. Right? She was sitting there saying, I don't know why we come to this place. I feel like I always overpay and I have kind of a bad meal. She was just giving a critique and I was agreeing with her. And this woman was looking at us like we're shaking hands with the Pope going, yeah, this whole Catholic thing, I think you fucked it up. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's how shocking she felt we were being. So
were you in a sound vortex where it was heard around the entire, no matter, like, haven't you ever had like a soccer field or a lacrosse field where somebody on the other side is talking?
Yes.
And I was like, I can hear every word out of that clown's mouth. And he just said, my kid, whatever.
I felt like, here's the thing. I felt like she thought it was an inappropriate conversation to have at all. We were not having it for anyone else. We were having it for each other. And I also know that if one of the waitstaff came up to us and overheard it, I think that would be a good thing. Like I toyed with saying to the waitstaff, I want to give you some feedback. This tastes off, but I did not do any of that. Let me give you the
picture. Yeah. Amy reaches out and holds the arm of, she's a toucher, dear listeners. She holds the arm of the waitstaff and says, I'm just telling you, we've all tried this.
Carrie,
something's wrong here.
Can you come here, Carrie? Thank you.
Yes, Karen. How can I help you?
I just want to talk to you. I mean, this is the kind of place where when you order a Coke, they bring it to you in a glass bottle. It's one of those Bowden Cokes or whatever. I don't even remember who it is, but you get like a single serve in it's a swanky ass place. And this was a stupid dessert. And my poor friend had to end up paying $36 for lunch that largely she couldn't eat because it was shit-tastic. That's not cool. It's just not. And it's also the kind of thing where it's like, oh, well, I won't come here again.
So what's the question?
The question is that mom right? Was that conversation out of line? We didn't bring it to anybody's attention, but if it had been brought to their attention, I would have fully fucking give you my feedback. You're out here trying to sell a product in the world, and this is a stupid product. It's dumb.
That mom was wrong she's also in your party. So for her to try to shame you there with a look.
Well, you're reminding me. But I feel like she was embarrassed that we don't know how to act. That's the feeling that I got. As if we were.
She could leave. You're done. She could leave.
I don't know. It's always like that with these.
Yeah,
with
I
these
also
very
think that's
large
a Southern
groups.
thing.
These very large groups. If we're connected with one tangential reason, and now there's 40 of us, and there were 2 tables of 20. It was a big area that we were in. Right?
Do you think this is partially a Southern thing too? Like there's a proper way to, and you're a Mid-Atlantic girl who says...
I always wonder that.
You're doing them a favor by
saying... I was with Solid Gold, though. I was with Solid Gold social propriety. So if anybody wants to look askance at me, great. But I wasn't the only one fucking doing it. I don't know. I never fucking know. And the real answer is, I could give a fuck, but I don't want to... Isn't this so stupid? I embarrass myself all the time. I'm over it. I can't be prevented. But I don't want to embarrass the waitstaff, and I certainly don't want to embarrass this larger group of women who all have we're aligned in some way. I want to represent that group. You know?
I've been with you. I've been with you 100 times when this happened. There's nothing wrong with saying, it would be great if they had said in the first place, I see you haven't touched this. Was it okay? Was everything okay?
Yes,
when that
exactly.
doesn't happen, there's nothing wrong with the touch of the arm. It's your MO. And saying, Candace, listen, I know this is not your fault. I just want to give you a heads up. This was horrible. And I think something was wrong with it. And I think maybe the ingredients they're even dealing with. I know this not to be true of this restaurant. I've been here 1,000 times. I know it has nothing to do with you. But for future diners, you should probably know this was like a fruity candy cane.
Diners. No,
it's a fruity candy cane that never should have happened.
Yeah. And they always say that, because they always will say something like, oh, is there, because what have they been fucking doing?
Right, but they also had 40 fucking bitches at the table. So maybe they're not on top of asking you if everything was okay. So maybe it's I think it's almost your responsibility to say, curdled milk, something went wrong here. And it's up to them whether or not to take it off your bill. I mean, they should. But whether or not, but it is absolutely, I think it's your responsibility, especially if you've already eaten and you're not at risk of phlegm in your soup, to say, look, we're good to go. I just want you to know, this was a bad scene.
Yeah.
Out of 40 of us, no one could eat this. Like, you'd think it would appeal to someone. And this was a swing and a miss. I don't know if it's ingredients or a bad choice in specials today.
You gotta hope that the chef and everyone in the kitchen will see that dish being returned or never ordered. Passion fruit, anything, guys. It just tastes bitter and weird. And don't add cream to it. No, just stop yourself before you begin. You're better off with some anal potatoes.
No one is ever better off with anal potatoes. Anal tots, maybe. But not the full potato.
It's like a pellet.
I had a terrible experience the other day. I thought, we're all in this podcast world, and I thought, I have a great idea for a podcast.
Oh, what? Stop it.
I really was talking to somebody. We went out to dinner. I was talking to somebody about how they met. They asked how we met. And how did you meet your partner? I mean, I've talked to you. You're like, I've known Brian since I'm 7. I love not necessarily the meet cute stories, but the how you guys met stories. And it could branch onto your parents, celebrities everywhere.
Oh, so this is the podcast idea. So it's When Harry Met Sally, the podcast.
Yes. So
I love it.
So I wanted to talk to more people about how they met. How did your parents meet? Like all of these stories that are just, I'm a fan of storytelling, story hearing, story sharing, story. Stop saying the word story.
No, I love it.
So I guess about 3 weeks after I'm stewing over this idea, I'm talking to more people, not about a podcast, not about anything other than how did you meet? How did you meet? How did you meet? And I've written down a couple of them, but I'm really just filling the mental bank. I crawl into bed with some awkward back pain, trying to find a super comfortable position. And I put on TV and I put on the Hallmark Channel.
Oh, God.
Well, I put on the Hallmark Channel and there's, a Hallmark movie that's rerunning for, I don't know, maybe the 1,000th time. But I look at the date, it says 2020. So it's got to be it's this year. And it's about a girl who wants to start a podcast about how people met their partners.
That cunt stole your idea.
And I thought, fuck you. Fuck you.
Hallmark
Hallmark
can suck a Christmas-colored dick. That is horrible. Why are they getting in your headspace?
I was shattered. I mean, I have like a whole head full of...
I'm thrilled because I don't want you sidestepping on our little dealy dolly, because this is also not the only idea that you have that's great. They're all great and you have a lot of them, but at the same time,
we need to work on the other stuff. Hey, as a closing story that might make you crazy because you're already well on your way, it seems. There's an 11-year-old girl in Utah who was so excited to go to the middle school dance. Did you hear this story?
No, I hear no stories.
It was on the Today Show. She was super excited. It's her first real dance. It's a middle school dance. It was a Valentine's dance. Say dance one more time. The girls were told when they were asked to dance, they were not allowed to say no.
Oh, no, I saw that part. That came from an 11-year-old girl's dance. I saw some story about it and I was like, I'm going to objectionably read that headline and then scroll past it. That's what I did when I saw the story.
How do you tell an 11-year-old girl there's a boy in her class that kind of makes her feel uncomfortable anyway? Maybe he's the starer, whatever it is. How do you tell her she has to dance with him?
Is this a school where there's also, child brides? I mean, I don't know what to tell you. This is the most ridiculous, non-consent based bullshit, horse shit. How anyone could ever think.
Don't you feel like, as moms of boys, don't you feel like all we do is teach our kids consent? If you don't get it, walk away. If you don't get it, accept that lack of to say that saying no isn't an option in the day of the era of life as we know it, and me too, and are you out of your fucking mind, Utah? Where do you get off telling?
It was Utah.
Utah.
It was Utah.
Okay. It was Utah. No means no. No thank. I mean, maybe if you want to school these girls to not shame somebody for putting themselves out there, that's fine. But to say you have to say yeah. How about no thank you or no thank you or over my dead fucking body?
No, I'll add on to it. Right? If your concern is so much greater for your daughter's ability to be polite and not offend anyone who might come into her universe, then your answer is you may not attend this dance. I am going to prevent you from being in the situation where you might feel obligated to do something that you don't want to do, which is to either say no to someone or to abdicate all personal responsibility and say, I put my concerns and desires in your hands, stranger from the 7th grade. Fuck you is the
What's
answer
a
to
nice way to say no? Let's brainstorm 10 ways.
I thought in Footloose they couldn't dance anyway. So what the fuck are you doing, Utah? You rule breaker?
I want to watch Footloose again now.
Oh my God, it's that whole
Dear
thing.
listeners, we are so excited that you're still listening. And we know that you are, whether you admit it or not, because our numbers are slowly but surely climbing. And it makes us super happy to see. If you'd like to engage with us like Cam and Gina did this past week, I encourage you to check out Listen Brilliant anywhere you'd like to on any of the social medias. And also, please write us at brilliantobservations@gmail.com.
And just one quick thing to let you know. We've been trying to make the show more accessible. We have a lot of folks who choose to listen, who like to listen, who are not podcaster people. That's okay. We are sharing the podcast on YouTube. So if you're one of these folks that has your TV set up where it plays everything and all you have to do is press a button and it's going to be playing YouTube, you can type us in the search bar. We're there as well. You can press play and get the podcast that way. So if you're one of these people where, what the hell's, somebody told me about a podcast, but I can't be bothered. So if you have friends you'd like to share us with, you can say, just find them on YouTube. Sometimes that's easier for folks. We're there as well. Do it.
Do you think one of those remotes that you could talk into, you could say, open YouTube and find or search? Can you do that?
I would ask and say, play Brilliant Observations podcast. I would say it into whatever device your home has, Alexa, Siri, Suck'em Dick'em, whatever that is that's running your house. Ask, play Brilliant Observations podcast, and it will say, okay, do you want me to, open this podcast player device that you've never opened before and press play? I'll do it, and I'll subscribe. You could, yes, try all those fucking things, and then you don't have to look through these goddamn menus, because I don't like doing it, and we fucking put out the podcast. So there it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dear listener, she doesn't like doing it, and she puts out the fucking podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We love you.
And don't knock your friends over just to get a nice kitty.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Friends.
Bye.
Bye.